Dude, I barely got sleep last night. I was in the bathroom like 4 times. I'm serious. Wait, we're live already? I didn't think we were live until you hit a button. Oh.
New Day Rocks! Welcome everybody to Unexpected Wrestling. You might have heard some little behind the scenes footage there. Not much we can do about that.
Yeah. Emphasis on behind.
You guys got a little bit of an Easter egg there for anybody that was catching in that early, about a minute into the starting soon screen there. We missed last week, but we are back this week to talk about the world of professional wrestling. Now, I announced this on Twitter. And we'll go a little bit into it right now. Unexpected
But we're
wrestling.
dedicating the entire episode to AEW.
Actually, we're going to be talking about the complete opposite. We made the executive decision, partly due to what transpired on AEW this past week, and partly because we've actually been talking about it for about a month now. We are ceasing our mandatory discussion of AEW Dynamite. It's kind of almost since day one. This has kind of been something I've been pondering about. It's the problem I had with it was becoming a chore to watch AEW. And one of the things that I learned with being a content creator, even though on a minor scale, not trying to say I was anything big or anything, but the second this stuff starts feeling like a job is the second it's not fun anymore. And it wasn't fun for me to have to force myself to watch AEW Dynamite just so that we would be able to have stuff to talk about on the show, when really I was like kind of checked out on like even caring anything about it. And I think it showed when we talked about it. Like almost everything I talked about was, you know, I'm just trying not to be negative. I'm kind of don't care. And that's pretty much how I feel about AEW. I just literally do not care about it. So we made the decision. We're not going to talk about AEW Dynamite, but that doesn't mean we're not going to roast AEW on the stupid shit that they do or any of the headlines that they make. We're still going to continue to do that. And in fact, on Twitter, I almost made a challenge to AEW when I said, we will not be reviewing and giving our opinions on AEW Dynamite until they consistently start having over 1 million viewers again. And most of the comments on that post said they will never have over 1 million viewers again. And my response to that was, oh, shucks, that sucks. I guess we'll never talk about AEW Dynamite again. So if somebody in AEW wants Unexpected Wrestling to start covering their product again, please get over 1 million viewers on your show, and we will consider it. Until then, we're just going to roast you for the dumb shit. And we have some dumb shit from AEW that we're going to talk about today. In fact, starting up in the wrestling news and headlines, we have Swerve Strickland with some interesting comments about Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. Here's the one thing about AEW that I never will understand. A lot of times when they're doing interviews, they talk about the other company. And I understand that it's kind of an old school thing, like you don't want to mention the other company, you have to pretend they don't exist. We're kind of away from that now in the modern day, but this is all these people seem to talk about is the competition. Let me click into this real quick, and just so I can get the exact quote that Mr. Strickland said. We know that Mr. Strickland is very educated with his words. He's given so many great interviews and, you know, said so many great things. In fact, we're still waiting on that AEW Shockwave on the Fox network that apparently he said was going to happen. I haven't seen it happen.
They have a better chance of being an OnlyFans.
Yeah, so this guy months ago insinuated that Fox booted SmackDown off the network because they wanted AEW.
Oh, okay.
And that
what is he smoking?
That didn't really transpire. He's smoking that sticky icky apparently.
Yeah.
But, so Mr. Strickland here, apparently, and this is coming off of NoDQ.com, our trusted source for wrestling news here. Mr. Swerve Strickland, while speaking to the Bootleg Kev podcast. Never heard of the Bootleg Kev, and I'm sure the Bootleg Kev has never heard of Unexpected Wrestling. That's perfectly fine. AEW star Swerve Strickland commented on the company's impact in professional wrestling industry. Here we go. Here's his quote. Ooh, he wrote a novel here. This guy. I feel like when we talk about competition in wrestling, the competition is the fact that we can get that talent and we can also match the deals. And it's an option. So when it comes to like, I'm reading this verbatim. So if it sounds stupid, that's how it was said on the podcast. So when it comes to like, that's where negotiation power is what makes Mercedes who she is. And that's what brings her stock. For the talent now, where the talent can make that choice, we have the option, we can steer the ship and power and generate our value. And like Shannon Sharp said on Club Shay, value is what someone's willing to pay for you in your services. So now it's like, okay, our values go up. Sasha Banks had value. Mercedes has more value. Now, Mercedes has more value now because of all of the existing wrestling. Okay, this is some of my autism not being able to read this correctly also. So he's trying to say Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné has more value than Sasha Banks because of all elite wrestling existing. Okay. The same thing going for Cody. Cody had more value because of what all elite wrestling was able to do and perpetuate. Same with Punk. Same with Moxley. Perpetuate. Same with Punk. Same with Moxley coming to AEW. Our values increasing, going back and forth. Ricky starts the Saints. His value increased to them to draw that interest in him. And it's only empowering everybody's value to go up. So there's a lot I disagree with what he said here, but I will give him Ricky Stark's value. I firmly believe did go up by him being in AEW. I did not know who Ricky Starks was before AEW. So I will give him that. I'm not saying that he wouldn't have made it to WWE without AEW, but he's more on a fast track now because he was on national television. For better or for worse, his name was out there. Fans kind of showed that, hey, we like this guy. There it is. What are your thoughts on what Mr. Strickland was saying here, Mr. Chong?
I think it's pretty simple. I think the trend that I see is AEW's better at homegrown superstars.
Yes.
And superstars that have jumped ship from WWE to AEW and then come back again, they struggle with that, you know?
Some of them.
Cody Rhodes and, you know, and others, but he's basically the main one in my opinion. Mm-hmm. You know, Ricky Starks, made a name for himself, but at the end of the day, you know, he's getting even more value in WWE.
Yes, his value instantly went up the second he appeared on NXT. More eyeballs have been on him than they've been on in AEW in a long time. AEW is barely cracking 500,000 views right now. NXT, they are getting into like the 700 levels. They might be in the 800,000 viewer level by the end of this year.
Because AEW needs to rely on what ECW used to do. They need to rely on the violence. That's the only way they're getting eyeballs.
Right now, yes.
That's the only thing that's excelling for them.
This week's Dynamite, yes.
Yeah. That's the only thing that's excelling for them. And guess what? Times are different. This is not 2000, 2001, right? Where...
Or late 90s.
Everybody wanted to see the violence, right? Mm-hmm. Times are different. You have a wider variety of audience now attracted to wrestling. Not just the horny 16-year-old teenagers that's all we want to do is see blood and guts. You have a wider range of audience. And that's why AEW, you keep doing the violence, sure, you're going to get a small little burst of new audience, but that's about it. It's not
you'll get the viral
lasting
moment.
Effect.
You'll get the viral moment of whatever happens in the match. That video will get 1 million views, but you're not going to. Your programming won't get 1 million views.
Not any more than one episode, right? And so then right off the.
What worked with AEW at first, when they first premiered, was they didn't just have the blood and guts and violence. They had a mishmash of all different types of stuff. They had some genuine, real good wrestlers. They had some goofiness. They had the blood and guts and violence. They were trying different things. And now, like the early 2019, 2020, even 2021 for AEW, they were throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. And that was working for them for a while. There was new and innovative stuff they were trying to do. Now they're in a position where they're kind of like, oh, well, this worked in the past. Let's do this again. Let's do another blood and guts
Let me
match.
ask you a hard question. If COVID never happened, do you think AEW would have had the success that they did compared to WWE during that time period? Because
I mean, when they premiered in 2019, they haven't beaten the peak of their premiere. I think they had close to 1.5 million viewers on their first episode of Dynamite, and people were excited about a new wrestling product. I think COVID helped them because people
That's what
were
I mean.
forced. Yeah, people didn't have anything to do. They didn't have anywhere to go. They anticipated for the weekly consumption of wrestling. Wrestling fans did.
And WWE product, I think, was already a little bit mundane prior to COVID.
Yes.
And it got even a little more difficult to watch during COVID for the first 6 months or so.
Yeah,
until you had the
WWE,
Bloodline feud.
they were challenging themselves to make basically in regards to wrestling. WWE was kind of leading the pack. If WWE would have been like, listen, we got to take a 6-month break or whatever, AEW probably would have followed suit. But the fact that WWE was like, no, we're not taking a break. We are going to do shows in front of no people. And eventually they upgraded to the Thunderdome and had screens and stuff. I don't think AEW would have done their empty arena shows if WWE wasn't doing them. And I think the best thing that happened to AEW during the COVID spell was them being able to bring in CM Punk. Because at the time, WWE wasn't able to do that. And people can argue that WWE probably wouldn't have been able to sign CM Punk now if he didn't make that return in AEW and see that the grass wasn't greener on the other side, and maybe WWE wasn't the worst place to retire at.
So you're saying at the end of the day, we have to thank AEW anyway?
In a sense.
I'm gaslighting you. You. Just to...
But like back to what Swerve is talking about. I don't think CM Punk's value went up being in AEW. I think his interest hit like a peak because he returned. It was huge.
Yes.
His return. And I think WWE did an exceptional job of kind of remaking that return when he came back at Survivor Series. I think there's a lot of people that consider his return at Survivor Series his real return to professional wrestling. And the AEW was kind of like take one. But people were very excited about that return too, trust me. And Cody Cody's a little different. Like, I don't know if him going to AEW rose his stock. I think more of him going to AEW showed the powers that be at WWE, like, hey, this guy is capable of more than what we were giving him, and you know, let's take the reins off him a little bit when he came back. So in that sense, maybe he's a little right. I firmly believe that his star power didn't go up in AEW. If anything, it got fans kind of annoyed with whatever the character he was playing in AEW. But when he came back to WWE, it kind of said, hey, here's my resume now compared to where it was before. Now you can see I can make a name for myself outside of the company, you know, and I think that's what gave them. And also the fact that John Cena was retiring, they needed a new babyface to put all put their bags on to have him carry it, and Cody just was at the right place at the right time when he came back, because there was nobody else that was willing to fill those shoes.
Roman Reigns hadn't turned face yet.
Roman,
he was still part of
as
the
great
line.
as Roman is, he plays a great character. He's making a lot of money. He's a main event guy. He wasn't the guy to carry the whole company like Cody is. because
Yes.
they needed another
He's not
Hulk
the guy
Hogan.
you put in front of little kids.
Yeah,
And
they needed
do the
another Hulk Hogan,
Make-A-Wish.
John Cena,
Yes.
Stone Cold, The Rock. Now you have
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes. The torch has been
Yeah.
passed. And that's leading into John Cena and Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. That's why that match is going to be such a big deal, because it's going to be a passing of the torch moment. Possibly. The torch might not be passed at WrestleMania, but we'll see. As for CM Punk, no, I disagree. His star power didn't go up because of AEW. His interest level went up, and then it started to decline, and then it went up again when he came back to WWE. So Swerve is it's a little fluff piece for him. This is just him taking advantage of doing an interview and being able to fluff up his boss at AEW a little bit. Yeah, I can kind of.
So you'd say he's a fluffer.
Yeah, you can see right through it. He's basically trying to justify to himself the decision he made with signing with AEW. And to be honest with you, I think he made a good decision for himself, because WWE obviously didn't
have anything for him. Yeah.
Yeah, they had him in Hit Row, which was a flop with Flop Dollar. So they obviously didn't see his potential, and AEW kind of gave him the chance, and he's making the most of it. I don't know if he would be a featured talent like he is in AEW on WWE. So he made the right decision for himself there, and I'm happy for him. Something else we should talk about here, the WWE's Roast of WrestleMania announcement. So this is going to be as far as I know, it's only going to be like a little live event during WrestleMania weekend. I kind of want them to put this on Peacock or something. I want to be able to watch this. I hope it's not
maybe
just
after
like a
the
live
fact.
show. Maybe
they're worried about foul language and they want to edit it.
Yeah, so pretty much what this is going to be, it's hosted by a comedian named Tony Hinchcliffe. And I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe this is the guy that was, he did a comedy bit at the Republican National Convention thing, and he got in some hot water. He made some sort of joke about, was it Puerto Rico or something like that? He made a very insensitive joke, and people really got offended by it, and he was kind of in hot water for a little bit there. And WWE is getting a little bit backlash for having him host this roast here, but I think it's very interesting, especially since they have a comedian hosting it. This might be one of those Comedy Central roasts, and they might let it be uncensored, which is intriguing to me. It's not going to be like a WWE production where they're like, oh, don't talk about this, don't talk about this. We might see them taking jabs at Vince McMahon at this thing. We might see them going off the rails a little bit, and that's interesting to me. And in the press release here, it says that they're going to be bringing top comics and entertainers for an unforgettable night of laughs and huge surprises. Set to join Hinchcliffe are WWE superstars Sami Zayn, The Miz, Braun Strowman, Paul Heyman, Rhea Ripley, and many more. And then it just kind of gives you some information. Oh, geez. It says exclusive pre-sale opportunity for closed doors, non-televised roast will begin March 19th. So, unfortunately, this is going to be non-televised. That sucks.
You never know, though.
Well, if
maybe they'll have a DVD.
Man, I really wish I could have saw this. So they're even going to prevent people from bringing phones and stuff in from recording this.
Oh, this is like the Undertaker shows.
Yeah, and that's never been released either.
Yeah,
that sucks. I really was hoping we could see parts of that. So yeah, that's going to happen in Las Vegas, WrestleMania weekend. Hopefully, if there's anybody listening that gets to go, they can kind of fill people in on what the experience was like. It sounds like it would be a fun thing to go to. I wish they would have done something like that last year. I would have been very interested to go to something like that.
I think it's hard because in Philadelphia, the venues are spread far apart.
Yeah.
And in Vegas, the venue they're having this at, which is the same venue.
Venues on venues there.
The venue they're having this at is the same venue as the Hall of Fame.
Oh, okay.
It's down the street. It's a block away from or not a block, but it's only a few blocks away.
Yeah.
Because if you notice it, I think they're airing it at 10 o'clock
Mm-hmm.
local time, which tells you they expect people to come right from the end of WrestleMania.
Oh
Walk
wait,
to this place.
this is on a Saturday?
I think it's on Sunday, dude.
Oh wow.
Did they have it published?
I
I
thought it would have
heard it
been
was
like
Sunday.
I thought it would be like a Friday thing.
No, I thought I saw it was Sunday at 10 o'clock.
Let's see.
Which strikes me to believe they're ending at WrestleMania with enough time for those who have tickets. Obviously, they're going to sell less tickets to this than they would to WrestleMania because it seats less people. I could be wrong on that.
I'm trying to see what the actual date is. Yeah, Sunday, April 20th at 10 p.m. as part of WrestleMania week.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Because 10... Oh, that's that's Pacific time. So what is 10 on Eastern time?
1 a.m.
So it's going to happen at 1 a.m. So yeah, you're right. It'll be after. I was like, wait, they can't have it at 10 because WrestleMania will go to at least 11. Yeah, so 1 a.m., that makes more sense.
Yeah, but I mean, local time, right there, WrestleMania, local time will end at 9-ish. Maybe it's going to start, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it with West Coast hours.
Yeah, that makes more sense. 1 a.m., that gives them at least like 2 hours in between to get whoever needs to be there.
Yeah, but usually when they air WrestleMania, even on the even when it's on the West Coast, East Coast at 7 o'clock, and then it goes to 11. Are they going to now have it be a different time because of West Coast hours?
Well, no, it's
starts
live.
At 4.
No, it's live. It's live everywhere.
Yeah,
so there's a 3-hour time difference. So if it ended at 11 for us, it's ending at what 8 for them.
Yeah.
So that gives them at least an hour between the two events. So that makes sense. I kind of wish that it would have been televised though. So that kind of sucks. Let's head into the Raw discussion here. So Raw was a little different. Mr. Chunk, he caught it, I believe, at its normal time. I actually did watch it live at like 3 p.m.
Yeah, I had to work.
Yeah, I had to work too, but I got out of work at like 1:30. So where did Raw take place from? What Brussels?
It wasn't Bologna. It was. Yeah. I thought it was Brussels and SmackDown was Bologna, right?
Yeah. So the show opened with John Cena. This was a long segment. And the first thing that caught me a little off guard, which was explained a little bit in his promo, was he came out to his like normal theme song. He even like held up his little this time is the last time handkerchief or whatever you want to call it, towel. But he didn't run to the ring like he normally would. He didn't talk to the camera. He kind of like at a brisk pace walked to the ring. He didn't run. So he was kind of doing up this new character he's playing. And he let the crowd kind of feed into it a little bit. He let the crowd kind of stew in their boos and the noise that they were making. He stood there for quite a while. I'd almost say like 5 minutes, just letting them chant and give him all the hell that they could give him. And he started cutting the promo. And the thing I wrote about this promo, I said, this is an incredible heel promo from John Cena. And I said, this moment will be talked about for over a decade. And I firmly believe that. This is his Hulk Hogan journey to NWO moment.
Yes, absolutely.
And time will tell. Like, I'm not going to be one of those people be like, oh, best heel turn of all time. Only time will be able to tell that. Will people be talking about it a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15, 20?
I hope so.
I think we will. I think people will.
Top 5 heel turns of all time.
Yeah.
Well. I you know what? I almost take that back. WWE will mess this up if they make him turn face at WrestleMania.
I don't think it'll be at WrestleMania.
Total about face
Yeah.
at WrestleMania or like the day after. That'll ruin it for me.
No,
they have to have it play out for a couple of months, at least a couple of months.
Yeah, this is the impact. This is the same impact that Hulk Hogan had turning heel, because for people that don't know, Hulk Hogan was a heel before his like main WWF run. And John Cena kind of followed the same path. When John Cena first started in WWF, started as a babyface. He was like this underdog newcomer. Fans didn't like it. They kind of booed him. Kind of like how they used to boo The Rock when he first showed up. Yeah. Then they made him the Doctor of Thugonomics, and people have a revisionist history with that. When he was the Doctor of Thugonomics originally, he was a heel.
Yeah.
He was a bad guy. He did get booed. One of his first heel feuds was with The Undertaker, believe it or not. And he was like this rapper that did like disses to the guys, kind of like how Max Caster is on a much better scale.
Yeah.
And then fans just started to like, it was such a unique thing at that time. Because at that time, like, we had shows like Yo Mama where they did like diss tracks and
Yeah.
stuff. And that's kind of like what that whole thing was based off of. And Eighth Mile, that movie, was very popular at the time. So people were into like the battle raps and the dissing and stuff like that. And he kind of just fell into it. I mean, if you first remember like when he really started the Thugonomics character, it started out as a joke. It was almost like an
Yes.
R-Truth skit. It was on Halloween, and Stephanie McMahon was backstage at a Halloween party, quote unquote, and he came out dressed as Vanilla Ice, and he just started freestyle rapping, and they kind of just went with it from there. He just continued to come to the ring freestyle rapping, not dressed as
Yeah.
Vanilla Ice anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, originally he was a heel when he first started. I'd say he did a good 6 months as a heel. And then I think he kind of did the babyface turn and this is where my nerdy wrestling history comes to my head. I have like a photographic memory with wrestling history. I'd say his full-fledged like babyface turn, because even at WrestleMania 19, so at WrestleMania 19 he didn't have a match. He was supposed to, here's some like John Cena fun facts. John Cena was supposed to have a battle rap with Eminem at WrestleMania 19. Eminem backed out. They tried to get Jay-Z. Jay-Z backed out. So John Cena ended up doing a promo on the stage with a cardboard cutout of Jay-Z as Mini-Me from Austin Powers. And he kind of did a promo there. He was a heel at the time, but at that point, you can kind of hear some of the fans cheering for him a little bit. And then I'd say it was about 12 months. Because I would say his babyface proclamation happened at WrestleMania 20. He had a match against the Big Show, and it was the first time that they introduced like the chain gang type stuff when that started happening. He beat the Big Show for the U.S. title, and the fans rejoiced, and that's kind of where he became a babyface before his world heavyweight title run, which would happen the next year when he beat JBL for the title. That's when he solidified as like the main event babyface guy.
I agree with that.
But yeah, he did originally. He had about a year as a heel with the John Cena Thugonomics character. And then once he turned babyface, even though fans started booing him after a while as he was a babyface because they just got tired of John Cena, he was kind of like Hulk Hogan. He was a constant babyface, never went heel, even though he wanted to at one point during his whole issues with The Rock. He wanted to turn heel.
Yes.
Never happened. And that's why it makes this such a big impact for him to finally turn heel and do a promo, because he was the face of the company for, I'm going to go ahead and say, like 20 years. He was the babyface for the company for 20 years. So many kids grew up idolizing this guy. We saw in the crowd on Monday, there are still kids that idolize John Cena. Yeah. And there was one kid in particular very upset about the promo.
Yes.
And he's done so much work as a babyface and an ambassador for the WWF. This is a very big, important moment for this generation of the WWE, with Triple H in charge, no Vince McMahon, this era. This is going to be a big moment for this era with John Cena turning heel, and whatever happens after this, we're on for a ride here. What were your thoughts on John Cena's promo, Mr.
I thought it was fantastic. I just think they got to draw it out a little bit, at least to SummerSlam. And if they draw it up to SummerSlam,
the heel persona you're talking about.
Yeah,
I agree. It should.
If they want to go beyond SummerSlam, that's up to them. But I think that has to go to at least SummerSlam for it to have a long-lasting effect and not feel cheap. Just to turn them.
I think if they did
have a WrestleMania
if they did
match.
it to SummerSlam, they could do a whole summer Cena's heel Cena SummerSlam thing.
Yeah,
wouldn't be a bad move. There's a lot of possibilities with that. a lot of feuds he could have, not just with Cody, but CM Punk. There's a lot of people he could do feuds with. Braun Breaker, Roman
Do you think
Reigns again.
this builds to a Rock versus John Cena at some point, or you don't think we'll see that
Well,
happen again?
let's go a little bit into the dirt here.
Because he's gonna have to betray the Rock, I feel like, at some point,
So
or the reverse.
apparently, we're gonna leave like the raw discussion frame of mind here and go into like real life stuff. So apparently there are some issues, and this is coming from unreliable sources, aka Dave Meltzer, Simpy Sap from Fightful. Apparently WWE and The Rock are having issues, and apparently The Rock may have backed out of participating at WrestleMania. None of these are confirmed facts. This is just what the dirt sheets are
Yeah.
reporting. Apparently, there's some creative differences, and The Rock may have kind of, I don't know if you want to say, left him high and dry, that he kind of made himself a part of this situation, and now he's taking himself out of the situation. We'll see. At this point, though, since we have Cena locked in, I think, like, regardless if The Rock is involved or not, they can move forward. I think
I don't
Cena.
actually think you need the Rock involved at all right now. I think
He'll
I'm
add. He'll
okay.
add to it if he's involved.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, at WrestleMania, I
yeah.
would not feel slighted at all.
No, they could
if
definitely pull it
WrestleMania
off
does
without
not
him.
have the Rock at
Yeah,
all.
they could pull it off without The Rock, if they had to. If they can get him in there, they should, because that's
But
just drawing more
but
attention.
I think to have closure at some point, he
Yeah.
needs to get himself back involved. At some
Yeah,
point.
Cena's gonna, if they can't have a match, Cena's gonna have to at some point get his retribution with The Rock. There needs to be
Because
some sort of conflict that
because
gets the
Cena didn't
fans
just do
back
this on
on.
his own,
Yeah.
right? This was
This
I
was
wouldn't say
all The Rock's plan.
manipulated
It
by
was
the
all,
Rock.
yeah, this is
Yeah.
all The Rock's plan. The Rock is
Yeah.
heavily involved, and in order for Cena to get back on the good races with the fans, he's going to have to explicitly go against what The Rock is doing.
Yeah.
He's gonna.
Yeah.
The Rock is gonna have to take it FU or something.
Or even if it's not a match,
Yeah,
just a face to face and a beatdown, I'm all right with that.
yeah. Somehow Cena's gonna have to make it clear that he is no longer on board
Under
with
the Rock's thumb.
Yes.
Yep.
So, however they do that, it's up to them. But great promo. To kind of elaborate on it a little bit more, Cody Rhodes did end up coming out to a face-to-face confrontation, but nothing really materialized. There was no physical activity between the two. Cody just kind of does what Cody does and stands on his pedestal. And
I think this is replaying The Rock versus John Cena. They're not going to have any physicality until WrestleMania. I don't think it's going to happen.
I kind of agree.
I'm not saying it's what we like, but I just think that's how they're going to play it.
As of right
because
now, yes. If it's going to be just John Cena and Cody, probably the best thing for them to do is not to have them touch. But if The Rock is still going to be involved, I think we should get another Rock beatdown like we did last year.
Okay, that, yes. But
But
here's
yeah,
the thing
if The Rock gets involved.
John Cena is still filming movies. Do you think John Cena is going to take a risk having an altercation and getting injured, not being able to film a movie or something like that?
Not
between now and
unnecessary
WrestleMania?
risks. If John's always going to be a company man.
Just
If there's something,
accidents can happen.
yeah, if there's something he feels needs to be done for this to work, he'll do it, and I'm sure they'll do it in the safest way possible. But if it's not something he feels needs to be done, then he's obviously going to take it easy and not.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't without The Rock. I don't know if they need to do any physicality before WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's kind of where The Rock would play a major role in this whole thing. The Rock could orchestrate that kind of stuff to happen.
Because I think the way this heel turn's happening, I don't see John Cena initiating the beatdown, not without somebody giving him the okay to do it, which would be The Rock.
That I mean, it's really how far they want to take this.
Or if Cody wants to start it, then John Cena would like
if they want Cena to really emphasize on the heel role, if he does a beatdown, it's not going to be like it's going to be against John Cena's morals, against his never give up.
Yeah.
John Cena would always be the kind of guy that would be face to face with you. It would have to be something underhanded. He had to sneak in the ring behind Cody's back and do something.
Yeah, but I think that's the purpose of his heel turn. I don't think the purpose of his heel turn is to be underhanded by himself.
No.
I think his heel turn is, if prompted, he will do something dastardly.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's going to be doing anything like that on his own, unprovoked
No.
or
No. John Cena's
unmotivated.
not going to run out after Cody Rhodes has a match with Chad
Yeah,
Gable
yeah.
and like do a beatdown after the match.
No,
He's not going to do
no,
that.
that's like Gunther style stuff,
Yeah.
and he's not.
It,
That's not
it'll
his
be
heel
something.
turn.
It'll be something a little different.
His heel turn isn't about necessarily being the bad guy. It's him being frustrated with the fans. That's
Exactly.
really what it's about.
Exactly. So what else we had going on Raw? We also had Penta and Kaiser in a street fight of sorts, or a no disqualification match. I thought the match was really good. What really made this match great was the crowd. Whenever they have these international crowds, they're so into everything that's going on. And it's one of those situations where the crowd can make or break these matches.
Yes.
If this match happened in America, I think the crowd would be into it, but this is like double the enthusiasm of what we would have had in an American crowd.
Yes.
So
and
the match came off really good on TV.
And I get tired of like what I've been reading on the dirt sheets too. They're like, oh, we should just bring WWE over to Europe and all the time. And I'm like, no, and not because they don't deserve it, but one of the reasons the crowd is so hot, not only because of WrestleMania season, but they don't get WWE live in their countries every week out of the year.
Yeah.
It's once or twice a year for 2 weeks at a time.
But
and
they're doing it a lot more than they used to. That's what
true,
people need to understand. People need to
It's also
understand.
WrestleMania.
Yeah.
It's also WrestleMania season.
Having pay-per-views in other countries never happened 5 years ago. And now all of a sudden it's happening every year.
But if you reversed that and made Europe and all the primary live events, and then US,
I really don't.
Then US would be a hot crowd because it'd be like, we don't get to see this that often.
I don't like that they announced the Royal Rumble is going to be in Saudi Arabia. I'm kind of against that, and I don't like the idea of WrestleMania being in like Wembley Stadium or anything like that. Like, I don't want to like be political and I don't want to sound like a dickhead, but like, the WWE is an American-made company, and I don't think it would be as financially profitable for them to move such a big, elaborate production like WrestleMania to another country and like punish the American fans and be like, nope, you guys got to go to London this year to go to WrestleMania.
And how many of them could afford to do that?
Yeah.
How many have passports?
It's like if people over in London are, and they have some really, really big, great WWE fans, if they want to go to a WrestleMania so bad, get a plane ticket and come and go to a WrestleMania. Like, we shouldn't have to bring WrestleMania to them. Like, I know that the Super Bowl is apparently going overseas or something like that. I don't understand that either. Like, the NFL, why would they run the Super Bowl in another country? Like, the other country, they don't have the NFL in other countries. Like, why would England want an NFL? Like, I understand like the pomp and circumstance of a Super Bowl, but it's also like these like
they're
the
testing
NFL,
the market.
WWE, like it's an American-made thing. Like, why should they take their production overseas to another country, regardless of how much money gets thrown at them, and then like screw over their home base fans and be like, oh, if you want to go this year, you gotta pay all this money and fly overseas and deal with all that bullshit. Like, that's just my opinion on it. Especially like Saudi Arabia getting the Royal Rumble. I'm really not into that. I'm really not feeling that decision there. And I think it's good that people speak out about it, because I really hope that this doesn't become a normal thing where they just constantly do major pay-per-views overseas. Doing like, I like what they did with Clash of the Castle, where they made a specific pay-per-view that was meant to be overseas. And like, I don't have a problem with them doing like Elimination Chamber or even Survivor Series if they wanted to do that overseas. I don't like them doing WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, SummerSlam. I think those should stay in the States.
I agree.
That's just my opinion, because this is the homegrown, where the company is. This is their home base. This is where their most passionate fans are, regardless of what the crowd sounds like. They make most of their money in America. This is where their most passionate fans are are and going to be at. That's my opinion on that. How we went from Penta and Kaiser to a discussion about WrestleMania being overseas. Well, I guess because I was talking about how hyped the crowd was.
Do you
Um,
think Penta's gonna have a WrestleMania match, or
yeah,
maybe not
so
really?
we'll
Not
skip to
yet.
the ending of Raw with the Braun Breaker, what's his name, Finn Balor match, and then Penta came out to make the save. It looks like there might be
Yeah.
like a multi-man match for the IC title.
Yeah, that's
Although
what
at
I was
the end
thinking.
of Raw, they kind of had Penta and Braun Breaker squaring
You're
off.
face to face. Yeah.
I don't know if them one-on-one is a WrestleMania match. They could make it a WrestleMania match. I'm just not. I'm
Penta's a
not.
little new.
Yeah, I'm not
It's
sold on
not
it yet.
yet.
But if they added
Yeah.
Kaiser and maybe even Chad Gable to that, I'd be a little more sold on it.
Yeah, and I think what is Braun Breaker and Penta, they're just not big enough stars yet to make it
Yeah,
a WrestleMania match.
they got time that they could build that feud and make me want to see it. Like I'm interested in what kind of match those two could have, but I think more money would be in like when I look at the WrestleMania card, I'm seeing a lot of one-on-one matches already. We'll talk about the Rhea Ripley match coming up. So I think they need to space it out. They need to put some multi-people matches in there, tag matches, triple threats, all kinds of stuff. We need to get a mix of different match types, and I think we have a lot of one-on-one matches already. Moving on, Rhea Ripley inserts herself into the women's title match. So they had a contract signing for Io Sky and Bianca Belair. Rhea Ripley pretty much just came out, talked a little trash, and pretty much knocked Bianca Belair onto a table and then powerbombed Io Sky onto Bianca Belair, took the contract and signed it herself. Um, and somehow that's going to be made official to a triple threat for the women's title match. I got to give WWE some negative reinforcement here. I don't think that was the smartest way to get Rhea inserted into the match. In fact, I think that's a little corny. They could have done something better than just her signing her name on the contract. They could have had her in like a match to get her the responsibility of being in the match instead of just signing her name on there.
So I'm a little confused. What was the whole point? Like I don't understand. Was the whole point to give Io Sky a WrestleMania
So
match?
here's my opinion.
Is there something more with Bianca Belair and they want to
Here's my opinion.
distract us from that?
Here's my opinion. I'm going to try to word this carefully. So, would people be interested in Bianca Belair versus Io Sky? If you watch the
No.
match, if you watch it on mute and just watch the wrestling, sure. Both very great athletes. The problem
Right.
with Bianca Belair versus Io Sky, how do you build that up to WrestleMania? So last year
Well,
they built up Io Sky to WrestleMania because she was part of Damage Control.
I get that.
That's an easy thing to do. How do you build up Bianca Belair versus Io Sky? Io Sky cannot cut a promo. She can't.
But then why did she win the title to begin with?
Because
A few weeks
people
ago.
like her in the ring. People like what she's able to do in the ring. So them adding Rhea to the equation, you have two people that can carry dialogue into WrestleMania.
But then what you're actually saying is they didn't add Rhea to the equation. They did some fancy schmancy shit to really add
added
Io.
Io. Yes.
They technically
My
added
opinion.
Io.
Yes, they added
Yes.
Io.
They found a way to legitimize adding Io when the whole plan
Yes.
was originally not Bail, Bianca and Rhea.
So let's be honest. Let's look at the situation here. Let's look at the last 2 weeks on television. What happened? Rhea comes out. Bianca and Rhea talk trash. Io Sky's in the back, and all of a sudden she's like, beep, 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 and then somebody pushes Io out of the way.
Yeah.
Same thing happened this week. Bianca, Rhea talking trash. Io, beep, 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 not saying anything anybody understands, and then she just gets pushed away. I think that's how this is gonna be promoted because like Io can't cut promos. She doesn't have a mouthpiece. Her English is acceptable at best. Like she's very limited on what she could say, and they can't run a WrestleMania feud without the two combatants being able to talk.
Yeah.
And we're going to have the polar opposite of that coming up on SmackDown with Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair, because I think
Yeah.
they kind of made a misstep on their verbal confrontation.
Yes, I agree.
But having Rhea and Bianca, they can carry this feud, being the verbal mouthpieces, with Io just interjecting herself physically without her being forced to have a microphone and trying to
And
cut.
what are the odds that Io wins the match?
Um, I'll be honest with you. I think it's probably, I would say 60%.
Really?
So what I could
Because
see
Bianca
happening,
gets distracted with the Jade
yes,
stuff.
I think
And
Rhea and Bianca, I think, will be focused so much on each other that Io will get like a quick, not a fast match, but like a roll up victory or something over like.
possible.
But
But then where do you go from there with her, right? Like you said, if she can't cut a
so
promo, you're post WrestleMania
post
week
WrestleMania,
with her.
to be honest with you, I would move Io into a feud with somebody else for the title and move on with a Rhea Bianca feud. That's one that we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
If that's possible.
But like you said, when Io had the title for a lot longer the other year, she was part of Damage Control.
Yes.
So there was a mouthpiece, right?
Yeah.
You don't have that now. So if
I
she
know.
continues with the title, what do you do?
I don't know. That's the thing. That's why I'm happy I don't work
Is
for
Asuka
WWE.
on her way back? Is
Probably.
somebody else on their
I'm
way
really
back
not
to
sure.
give it some oomph?
Like they kind of have Dakota Kai still with Io, so I
Yeah.
mean that's a possibility. Maybe Dakota Kai could be.
They
a
still
mouthpiece.
refer to Damage Control.
Yeah,
They
she
still
is
refer to the
technically
team by
part of
name.
Damage Control still.
Yeah.
So maybe there will be some deception there with Dakota Kai. I don't know. It's interesting. And then yeah, you do have the Jade and Naomi stuff going on. So there's a lot of factors in there that it's a very fine woven kilt for WrestleMania with this feud. There's a lot of variables that haven't
Because I think WWE has struggled in the past to really build up the superstars, from Asian countries. I know we
Yes.
haven't talked about Nakamura, but
Yeah.
just for a second here, his contract is up,
Yep.
and it does not look like they're renewing it, and it looks like they're just throwing him into some feud just to give him some TV time to fulfill his contract until that winds down. His last year has been uneventful.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with Nakamura. And we're gonna have to wait and see what happens with the women's title picture. But I'm interested. I'm interested in where
Yeah.
that's going. What fans aren't interested in, though, is internet fans were not happy with Jey Uso's match on Raw. For one,
think
he kind of
they
did
made
he
way
did a
too-
he did a
yeah.
flop dollar botch, jumping over the top rope, and the fans kind of went at him for that. And then the match just kind of ended like he did like a cross body or something and like pinned
Yeah.
Austin Theory. Just a very strange way to end that match. And then Gunther did like the beatdown, which is expected.
I had heard that
Yep.
that match was a little quick because
Yeah.
the John Cena segment went on a little longer than
Could be.
expected, which is weird because if it's on Netflix, isn't the whole point is you're not bound by those time limits anymore?
I
And
don't
they
think
could
they're
have
bound by
given-
it, but I think WWE is still like, hey, we want to keep it at this.
The 2.5.
Yeah.
It's about 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
So I had read that they had to cut that a little short because of the John Cena segment going
Yeah.
on for like over 30 minutes.
Yeah. The other note I put is WWE is failing to make Jey Uso versus Gunther feel important to me.
I have to agree.
Yeah, it's kind of continuing. They have not done anything to make that match feel important to me, and I think I'm pretty much going to solidify my whole stance that this match will not be main eventing either night of WrestleMania.
No way. I have to
It's
agree
going to
with
be.
you. Yep.
I think after SmackDown, we're pretty much sure of what the main events are going to be at this point now.
Yeah. I think the problem is that Jey Uso, he's one-dimensional, and that's okay. John Cena was one-dimensional for most of his babyface years.
Yep.
But then you need that other character, like Gunther, to offset and not be one-dimensional, and it's two one-dimensional people.
Yeah.
And no disrespect to Gunther. Gunther is great in the ring. but he's an average heel. He's your run-of-the-mill average heel, right?
There's just these two
And
they're
and
not meshing well together.
there just
They're
isn't
really
something
not.
special with Gunther.
Yeah.
And if there was, that might have actually elevated Jay a little bit.
I'll be honest, like Jay isn't really playing a sympathetic underdog that well. He really
No.
isn't. Like Sami Zayn, he plays that role really well.
Yes.
And Daniel Bryan played that role really well when he was in WWE.
Yes.
There's an art to being the sympathetic underdog. And Jey Uso isn't quite there. Like, he's selling merch. People like the yeet stuff. But I think he's just a little too overconfident, I think. Like, he's not doubting himself, which isn't, like, personality-wise, it's not a bad thing, but fans can't feel bad for you, and they can't get behind you when you're just constantly, I don't understand, like, how they're, I know they keep on having him get beat down by Gunther from behind and everything, but it just seems like he's still looking like he's strong. And
because he's the bloodline version of Jey Uso with a yeet phrase.
Like they're not making him a sympathetic underdog. They're making him an underdog, but I think fans are just predicting that they know exactly how this match is going to go. There's no doubt in the fans' mind that Jey Uso is going to win the match. So regardless of what they do, they're still expecting that WrestleMania happy moment.
I think what's going to happen is Jey Uso's going to win. Mm-hmm. It's going to put Gunther down the mid card, unfortunately.
Possibly.
I think it will. I think it will put him down the mid card. He might
try
to do a rematch.
This is going to be one of those things where they're going to do some rematches and I don't know how they could get people interested.
Because again, with Gunther, I do like Gunther in the ring, but I do feel like they kind of accelerated his momentum a little too much. WWE's known for, like, taking somebody that looks great in the ring and then shoot him to the moon, and maybe it feels a little forced. And given all the other heels we have in WWE, he's low on the totem pole with heels, to me.
Yeah, he's lost a lot of his mystique in a year's
Mystique,
time.
yes. I would say Jacob Fatu is more mystique.
He had some good
Gunther
matches
right now.
The match with Cody he had at one of the Saudi shows was really good, but he lost.
He's good in the ring. His ring talent, I think, is top notch. But I think character-wise, I just think he's one-dimensional. Yeah. He's one-dimensional. He's the same Gunther as part of Imperium. It's the same Gunther after Imperium.
Yeah.
It's not much different.
Yeah, so we'll have to see where they're going with all that. Another quick note I have was it looks like we might be getting some sort of American Luchador versus Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania. This might also be a multi-person match. I think we can all agree that that's Chad Gable under the Luchador mask.
You mean Hulk Hogan?
Or, Mr. America.
Mr. America, it looks just like it.
I'm kind of into, like, it's a goofy story, but I'm kind of into it a little bit. I'd be interested in a Chad Gable Rey Mysterio match. I like how they changed Chad Gable's move set up a little bit, where he's doing some more lucha moves in the ring. I kind of like the whole story there, and I'm sure the match, whatever it happens to be, if they're going to make it a multi-man match or if they're going to have Gable and Rey Mysterio one-on-one, I'm sure it will end with him being unmasked as the masked American luchador.
I mean, not every feud can be, high drama TV. Sometimes you need a little bit of the silly shit.
Yeah.
And
I can get into it.
This is Triple H's version of the silly shit. Vince McMahon would do this all the time, but it'd be done to such an extreme that it'd be stupid.
Yeah, Vince McMahon would have had R-Truth as the American luchador.
Yeah, exactly. So this is Triple H's take on something a little bit silly to, like, not be so dramatic.
Yeah, I kind of like it. I can get into the match. And then we talked about this a little bit already, but the main event was Braun Breaker versus Finn Balor, and Finn Balor ended up losing the match partly because of somewhat of a distraction from Dominic Mysterio and Carlito, looks like there's some deception going on in Judgment Day a little bit. There might be a little bit of an issue between Finn and Dom Mysterio. And then they got back on the same page at the end after Finn lost, and they started a beatdown. And then Penta came out and kind of made the save, which was a little weird. But then they kind of made it clear that Penta was gunning for the Intercontinental title. And some of the last moments on Raw were Penta and Breakker kind of having a stare down.
And yeah, and earlier in the night, if you remember, Dominic was trying to say that they're gonna expand Judgment Day. He was trying to get Penta as part of Judgment Day.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much to take that in any degree seriousness. I don't understand why they put that statement out there. I don't know if there's more to it.
I mean, maybe it'll be like a
bullshit.
multi-man match with that. Maybe they'll get Finn and Dominic and Penta, Braun Breaker. I think a WrestleMania moment might be seeing Dominic taking the Braun Breaker spear or something like that.
Because here's the deal, and we haven't gotten to this yet, but Rey Fenix, right?
Yes.
We all know what's happening there.
Yes. Well, we saw a thing on SmackDown for him.
Yeah, obviously. Well, I know we didn't get to SmackDown yet, but the point is a lot of the masked luchadors they currently have on staff are the babyface masked luchadors, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they got to mix it up and have a balance. I think there's an imbalance. And whether that's Penta takes a darker turn, maybe. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see with Penta. I'm enjoying what he's brought to the table so far.
Yeah.
I'm not always into lucha matches. I think he's kind of a mix of the WWE style of wrestling and lucha, and I'm kind of into it. I like Penta. I think he's an interesting character. I think there's a lot of depth that could happen there, and I think he could be a pretty dark character too that they haven't tapped into yet. So I'm interested to see where they go with that. And that's how Raw ended. And to end the Raw discussion, let's head into a little bit more of wrestling news here. This is a little more AEW centric though, because even though we're not going to talk about a full recap of AEW Dynamite, we are going to show you a clip of what happened in the main event. This is a very, very short clip because this is pretty much all we need to see here. So let me get that ready really quick. Give me a moment.
Excuse me!
Oh, thank you, Vicky. Okay, so we have a clip of Jon Moxley versus Edge. Oh, I mean Adam Copeland. I mean, hold on. Cope. Moxley versus Cope. They had I forget what they wanted to call it. A street fight, a no disqualification type bullshit match. Why am I not? Okay, there we go. And Jon Moxley took a pretty ridiculous spot. And before I even show this, one thing I keep hearing on the internet is, if people don't like this spot, they would have never liked ECW back in the day. Here's the thing with ECW. They didn't do stupid shit like this. Yes, ECW would throw people through tables. Sometimes they'd light those tables on fire. Sometimes they would let fans bring in their own weapons and they'd take them from the fans in the crowd and beat people with them. They didn't do things that could, are just so stupid. Like, just purposely, trying to permanently injure somebody. Like,
they did do some stuff like that, but here's the thing. It's a different generation.
Yeah.
If you try to take ECW from over 20, 25 years ago and plop that into today's market, it would not really work. It would work on a very small scale, and that's about it.
Yeah. And the thing with ECW is, yes, a lot of the clips you see of ECW are these crazy moments, people jumping off a balcony, going through tables and stuff. But that wasn't all ECW was. They had a mixture of great wrestling. They used to have Rob Van Dam and Jerry Lynn would happen almost every week, and they would have a 30-minute physical wrestling match. And yeah, there might be a chair involved for the Van Terminator and Van Daminator and stuff, but it wasn't all about just blood and guts and stupid shit. Let me play this clip right now so that people can understand what I'm talking about here. Let's play this really quick. Why is it acting up? There we go. Here, let me rewind this. So he got suplexed onto a bat. That's not barbed wire in that bat. That is nails. Those are nails sticking out of that bat. If you even want to call it a bat, it looks like a 2x4 with just nails sticking out of it. Let's play it one more time. Let's play it one more time here. I don't know if I even need to emphasize like just how dangerous something like that is. Like they're
I bet you CM Punk would have never let that happen.
No, nobody with the right frame of mind would allow
He would have
that
thrown
to
a stink. Yeah,
There's a
that's like the
difference-
equivalent of Jack Perry.
There's a difference between thumbtacks. We know thumbtacks, like they can't really fake that, but the tacks are like this small. Like they'll break the skin, they'll make you bleed. It'll hurt, it will sting, but it doesn't have the potential unless it hits you like in an eyeball or like a very sensitive area on your body.
And I imagine with WWE, they practice that spot to
Yeah.
make sure that it's unsafe.
They're not going to have nails. Those nails were like this long. And like that could have there's so many things that could have done to him. And that spot that they did not look safe at all.
So they did it for shock value.
Yeah.
Because they know that they can't produce shock value in any other way.
And Jon Moxley's just an idiot. Like he's somebody that in WWE they might have people that would be willing to do something like that, but they hold them to a ball and chain. Like Mick Foley, I don't think would have taken a spot like that. And Mick Foley's a guy that fell off the top of a cage through a table.
Yeah.
He wouldn't, like, with nails that big that is just guaranteed to puncture your body. And the chances of him, like, puncturing a part of his body that could seriously injure him for the rest of his life, could potentially paralyze him, was much greater with something like that than even falling through a table off the top of a Hell in a Cell.
And even that kind of stunt might not even be done today by WWE standards.
Not the way it was done back then, no. We've seen them do the whole stunt again today, but they had crash pads and stuff like that. Just very, very stupid. It's very unprofessional, in my opinion. And it's unprofessional not only with AEW, it's also unprofessional for TBS and Max to air something like that on TV. It would have been a little different if it was on pay-per-view. This was on television.
I was just going to say,
Guarantee you, I absolutely can promise you WWE would never air something like that on television. Absolutely
not today. Not today.
Not today. Not even in the Attitude Era. They wouldn't have done that in the Attitude Era. Not something like that. I don't even think they would have done thumbtacks in the Attitude Era on national television, on Raw or SmackDown or something. Just very stupid. Here's my whole thing. Regardless, let's ignore all the health risks involved with that. What's that going to do? You got people talking about it on Wednesday, Thursday. Not as many people talking about it Friday. Not as many people talking about it Saturday. Sunday, we're talking about it, but the internet isn't talking about it as much. By Monday, nobody's going to be talking about that. Nobody's going to remember it. Nobody's going to, like... This isn't a moment people are going to talk about 10 years from now. This isn't even a moment that lasted a week on people's minds. So he did all of that for a viral video. And when I say viral, I mean for 3 days. This isn't something that's going to live in somebody's memory for the rest of their lives. What this does, it sets the expectation for the next time they do a match like that. They have to do it bigger than that now. Yeah. That's the problem. So what do they do bigger than that? Have the nails sticking out, catch it on fire? What else can they do? Put it in fucking like toxic material and have them sprayed in somebody's eyes? Like what
proctology exam. Loser gets a proctology exam.
Yeah, do they have to stick the nails up their ass next time?
Yeah.
Like what else can they do other than like physically murdering somebody on television? That's where the point we're getting to. Like they're backing themselves into a wall now. They're pushing the envelope so far that like there's no going back. There's no way they're going to top things like that. And now it's like the fans are so used to it in AEW that it doesn't even make an impact anymore. Nobody cares. Like, okay, John Moxley, I hope you're impressed with yourself. Maybe Tony Khan gave you a cookie after that, but didn't do shit for the ratings. I think it might have bumped the ratings up a little bit more, but they also promoted like an Edge match, so that might have pumped it up too. They still didn't break 700. They barely broke 600,000 viewers. So, congratulations, John Moxley. Hopefully, the hospital stay was worth it for you. Yeah, maybe next week you'll get 30 more viewers on that. Also, let's touch base with Ryan Nemeth. We did a little thing on him a couple weeks ago. Ryan Nemeth, this lawsuit is still ongoing with AEW, but we got a little bit more news here. AEW has responded, and their response is this. Yeah! I think he was fired. So, in an update to the case, Brian Thurston over in WrestleNomics. Brian Thurston's a little turd burglar. This guy's an idiot. I'm going to go off on him a little bit. This is a guy, Brandon Thurston. He's a little AEW gimp boy. He, anytime like anything positive happens in WWE, he tries to spin it into something negative. And he's the guy that's constantly bringing up the Janelle Grant case, even though there's no new news for it. Anytime WWE will have like WrestleMania, they'll have a successful WrestleMania, and Brian Thurston will be like, "Oh well, Janelle Grant's still alive. She went to dinner with blah 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 blah." Like he's an idiot. He's an idiot. But I'm gonna take his word on this one. So AEW has filed a petition to have Nemeth's talent contract argument that's going to court sealed, meaning that that the public will not be able to see what is going on with that case. And their reasoning for that is irreparable harm to AEW's business if the contract terms become available to competitors. So AEW wants to keep it under lock and key because they're afraid if WWE sees the way AEW orchestrates their contracts that WWE will somehow have an advantage over them by seeing
well, that pretty much they're admitting it.
Yeah.
By having it sealed and explaining why it's sealed.
Yeah.
They basically have sealed their fate.
Yeah. So obviously,
good job, AEW.
Obviously, AEW sees some guilt in this whole thing, and basically they want to. From what I'm taking from this is they want to settle this thing and not let it be in the public eye.
Yep.
Pretty much. So they want to settle it, and by it not being in the public eye, meaning that they will not admit any guilt, not admit any wrongdoing, even though in the paperwork they may admit to something, but we will never know about it. At least not officially, anyway. I'm sure things will leak here and there. There's a lot,
and that's what like Nick Nemeth wants. He wants basically his little.
Oh yeah, this is a good thing for him. He's going to get a payday. He's going to get some money, and he don't. You know, he doesn't owe us anything. He doesn't have to tell us what this contract all is. He just wants his money. You know, he'll get a nice little payday and have to sign an NDA and maybe go to McDonald's and have something else that rhymes with NDA, whatever going on. He'll get a payday, an NDA, and a little roll in the hay with Dolph Ziggler afterwards.
Yeah.
With these guys. But yeah, it's probably going to head in a good direction for Ryan Nemeth, even though he's a little bitch and basically is trying to blame everybody but himself on why his career failed in AEW. But I guess maybe AEW does see themselves partly responsible for his downfall, and good for him. Good for him. Hopefully he gets a nice little paycheck out of all of that. Going from that onto the SmackDown discussion. SmackDown. SmackDown's been kind of falling off the wagon a little bit for me lately. I don't know why. Some of my favorite people are on SmackDown, but like I'm just kind of getting disinterested a little bit. Not to the point of AEW, but Raw, in my opinion, is definitely the A show at this point, which is weird because a year ago SmackDown was always the A show to me. But yeah, it just I don't know what's with SmackDown, but it's not my cup of tea lately. But let's start off with Randy Orton's promo with Kevin Owens. The one thing I wrote here, Randy Orton seems to have permission to cut like uncensored promos. Randy Orton is going pretty deep on his promos. He's using some naughty language. And I think it's good for him. I think it's good that he's kind of his promos are feeling a little different, and it sounds like
Yes.
he's kind of bringing back his 2009-esque Randy Orton with the punt instead of the
Yes.
RKO. This is when he started the voices in his head stuff happening. So this is interesting the way that things are going here. We're going to see another side of Randy Orton. We haven't really seen him get too physical yet, so we'll see how this is all going to go. See what kind of shape he can get himself in for WrestleMania. See if Sami Zayn gets involved some
I was
way,
just
shape,
gonna
or
bring
form.
that up.
Yeah, there's a lot here. I'm kind of excited. I said it before. I'll say it again. I think Kevin Owens' stock has gone up in the WWE as of late. This whole run he's had with Cody, with Sami Zayn, and now with Randy Orton, it's made me more interested in Kevin Owens in WWE than I've ever been before.
Yes.
So I think he's doing a great job with that, and I'm excited to see this match. I'm excited to
I
see
think
Randy
Sami
Orton.
Zayn should get involved,
Yep.
and I think Sami Zayn is ripe for a heel turn.
Yep.
He hasn't been that way in a few years. Even when he was part of the Bloodline, being honorary Uce, the fans cheered for him anyway. He wasn't really that much of a heel. He hasn't been heel since what? The Intercontinental title one before
It's been a
that,
while,
right around COVID. And he
Yeah.
claimed that he never lost it and all that. That was the
Yeah.
last time he was really a heel. I
Yeah.
think it's been years. It's been like 5 years.
Yeah.
It's time, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm interested in where this feud's going to go. I'm interested in seeing the match. Um,
Because I don't expect Randy Orton to win. I think Kevin Owens should win and get
I do
back
too.
with Sami Zayn into a tag team.
I do too.
Because who else is left for Kevin Owens after Randy Orton to fight? He doesn't have beef with anybody else.
If they want to downgrade him to like LA Knight or some shit.
No, that's what I'm saying. If they go
It's
back,
hard to say. Yeah.
if they go do a tag team right with Sami Zayn and start injecting
That'd be a
themselves
little more
into that.
interesting. Absolutely. Moving on from the Randy Orton, Kevin Owens. One thing of note here: I'm still not feeling Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. I don't see
agree.
any chemistry with these two. They're trying to make it into something. Two big guys, whatever. Not interested. Not interested. I never really was drawn to Damian Priest much at all. Drew McIntyre. I hope I'm not right, but I almost feel like they kind of caught lightning in a bottle with him and CM Punk, and I don't know if that like energy can transition to other people with Drew. I think he needs a very strong person on the other side of him
Yes.
to bring that out of him, and Priest just isn't it.
I have to
don't see.
agree.
Yeah, I don't see this as a very good feud. Definitely not WrestleMania worthy at all. But I give WWE props. They're trying to give everybody on the roster something to do. Yeah, I don't see this being a great match. And yeah, this will be, if I need to use the restroom during WrestleMania, that will be the match. I'll do it, and I'll make sure to do it then. Also, Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair, they kind of had a promo, and my thoughts are I feel indifferent, and that the promo did not do Tiffany any favors. So this promo they kind of cut, it didn't seem polished, I guess is the best way to say it. Like Charlotte kept interrupting Tiffany whenever she was trying to go and get some words in. It didn't feel very like scripted, I guess is the best.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem, and I don't blame Tiffany or Charlotte. The dumb ass split view interview thing that WWE does, it's never worked. It's they've never really had
worked
good
one time.
ones.
It's worked one time. Seth Rollins and Matt Riddle. If you remember that, when Seth Rollins,
that's about it.
Yeah, when Seth Rollins was like, hey, are the cameras off? Are you still there, Riddle? And then he said something about his wife, and Riddle like freaked out. That was interesting television. This was not.
But I don't think I can blame Tiffany or Charlotte on this. I just think, like, history has shown that presentation doesn't work very well. It's not in front of the crowd.
Yeah.
You're watching a Titantron.
And
You know,
something tells me
it could be live, but you don't know for sure if
no.
it's live.
Something tells me neither of them were in like whatever country they were in. They probably taped that the week
It's
before.
possible, yeah.
Yeah, and
And they want to
probably
keep things active and going.
yeah.
And
Something tells me. It just didn't come across well. Charlotte was interrupting everything Tiffany was saying, basically putting her down, and Tiffany had no rebuttal. I really don't know. Like I for some like I know like behind the scenes there's no heat between them. I think they are friends behind the scenes. So this isn't like a Becky Lynch Charlotte thing where they actually hate each other and Charlotte was purposely like making her look dumb. But Tiffany just ended up looking really bad in this situation. I don't quite understand why they would let that happen. And I don't know if it's Tiffany's fault for not being able to cut a believable promo, or if it's Charlotte's fault for just kind of dogpiling the promo and making it all about her. It's just very weird, and I'm going to be excited for the match just because I like both of them as wrestlers. But if I wasn't a fan of either, and like I was relying on WWE to make me interested in the match, that would not make me interested in the match at all. That would, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think that was good television that they did there.
I think the challenge I have a little bit with Tiffany Stratton is she is a little tiny bit one-dimensional. Not as one-dimensional as Jey Uso, not as one-dimensional as Gunther,
yes.
but I think that like she's just a little bit one-dimensional with the Tiffy time phrase and all that. I think she's got to change up her attitude a little bit.
WWE's kind of like they're put in a situation here where Tiffany would have done much better if she was the heel. And the problem is they couldn't have her be heel in this situation because fans naturally hate Charlotte Flair.
Yeah.
And yes, in any
she
normal
she gets opportunity after opportunity.
Any normal circumstance, a returning athlete like Charlotte, the fans would be crazy for. Like if this was Becky Lynch, you have a main event right there. Tiffany would be the heel. Becky.
Well,
would be
when Charlotte was returning 10 years ago, fans were behind her.
Yeah.
But
now, no.
after that, they
No.
kept abusing every time she would return,
Yeah.
and immediately thrust into the main event scene without having to earn it. And
they didn't have a choice. Tiffany had to be the baby face here, and
Yeah.
I don't think she's quite ready to be a baby face.
Yeah,
I think that might be part of the problem here. She's so
and
used
again,
to being a heel.
Again, I think it's the same issue of Gunther. Is like they see something in her. They see the main event roster's aging. They're trying to get younger talent to main event status, and they're almost pushing them too fast. Almost, right? They see that like Charlotte doesn't have a lot of time left. Who the hell knows what's going with Becky Lynch? Who are your top female superstars on SmackDown now? That list is small. Right? So they're propelling Tiffany Stratton to the moon, and she's only been here how long? On the main roster?
Yeah.
On the main roster.
1
exactly.
year for the main roster,
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, so...
Usually it takes a lot longer to build up a superstar on the main roster and get in the main event status. It's usually 2 to 3 years.
Yep.
They've rushed her a little bit, and I think she has the talent in the ring, but character-wise is
They got a few more weeks to get us interested in this feud. I'm interested in the point that I know that they'll put on a good match. They got to get me interested in what the storyline is going on, because right now it's just kind of very generic to me.
It seems a little manufactured. The other challenge I have with it too is one of them needs to change their ring gear. They cannot be both in almost bra and panties and blonde hair. One of them needs to different color.
Let's get Charlotte in like a full body suit.
She was wearing like brown or something like this like a couple weeks ago, and then she went back to this.
Well, they'll have fancy attire for WrestleMania. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Moving on from that. So we got the Jacob Fatu Braun Strowman thing going on. I'm not sure if this is going to be a WrestleMania thing. This is kind of giving me a vibe that we might have some sort of multi-man match with Jacob, Fatu, Strowman, and good old Solo Sikoa, and LA Knight, possibly. one thing I wrote is I can't take LA Knight seriously. Like I
Oh, I
understand
agree. Yeah.
people like to chant, they like fans like to interact with the show. So if you're a wrestler and you have something the fans can sing along with, they love it. But when I see him in the ring, I can't take him seriously. Those punches he does, like it just reminds me of like 1990s wrestling, like
Yes.
Hulk Hogan, like that type of
Yeah.
stuff. I can't get into it, and I can't get into his character. I don't see him as any type of valid contender for a heavyweight championship. And like I don't even see him as a valid contender for like Jacob Fatu, to be honest with you. But he's kind of getting thrust into this situation. So I'm not really quite sure where it's all going to go. I'm thinking a multi-man match. I don't think they're going to do Fatu and Strowman one-on-one, and I think it's a little too late to start a Fatu and Solo one-on-one thing. It seems like they're getting hints of deception there, but I don't think they have enough time to really get a feud for a
No,
solo
and
match.
I think the result of that is Jacob Fatu gets a face turn. I think the fans are
Maybe
behind him a
at
little bit.
WrestleMania.
Yes,
I don't
maybe,
think.
or the
Yeah, I
day
don't think.
after,
Yeah, I don't think they
or
have
Friday
enough
after.
time to get the face turn in and get a match.
Correct. I agree
But
with
I think
yes.
like maybe Jacob Solo, Strowman, and LA Knight for the U.S. title, and then somehow Jacob turns on Solo during that match, and he gets his
Because let
face
me ask you
turn.
this question: is the notion of the bloodline done? In your opinion, is there no more?
It kind of seems that way, doesn't it?
Then
Unless they go with
I
Solo and
I have
Cheech and Chong, the
I,
Tonga
I
brothers.
have bad news for Solo Sikoa. I think once they get Jacob Fatu versus Solo, and Jacob Fatu gets his revenge on Solo because
That's
it will
it.
happen. Solo needs to go to NXT.
Yeah,
I,
Solo. They got to do
he's
something with him.
he does not function well on his own in the main
No,
roster. He needs a
no.
faction
He
or a group.
unfortunately I think he reached his ceiling with Roman,
Yes,
and then they gave
he's
him a
an
lot of
enforcer.
opportunities with Roman.
Yes,
They've actually had him pin Roman multiple times.
yeah.
So it's just the fans aren't digging it. They're not buying into him as a true heel. Um,
No, he looks like a boss of a faction, but that's it.
yeah, kind of odd, but we'll have to see what happens with these guys. See what they do with
And
Jacob
obviously, the
Fatu.
Tonga twins have
Yeah,
zero chemistry.
yeah. I'm not really
They're
into
done.
them. Not my thing at all. A
Jacob Fatu reminds me of an Umaga, right?
little bit, yeah,
Packaged well. I think the problem with Umaga is he was not packaged as well as he could have been.
yeah,
But if they package Fatu right, I think he can have some staying power.
yeah. Moving on from that, the last thing we had on SmackDown was the Punk Roman Seth Rollins segment. I thought this was done pretty good. Not CM Punk's best work, but probably the best that they're going to get with these three personalities in the ring. And we're still alluding to the Paul Heyman favor that has for CM Punk. And Punk actually took the first shot at Roman. And then we had a huge brawl to end SmackDown, which each of this is one thing I don't like about WWE. They kind of pull back the curtain a little bit and kind of wave at you and be like, "Hey guys, this is all fake." Just reminding you how each of them had the upper hand and each of them had their moment to point at the WrestleMania sign. It's
Yes,
like
of
it's
course.
a little too TV
Little kitschy.
orchestrated.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, do you really have to take us out of the element of realism and remind us, "Hey, this is all fake"?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it looks like that pretty much solidified that we are getting that triple threat at WrestleMania, as if nobody wasn't expecting it at this point. I do firmly believe that this will be a night one main event,
Yes.
and Cena Cody night two main event. That all but solidified it for me there. I think there's a great story going on there with a lot of things interweaving into each other. CM Punk will finally get his WrestleMania main event that he's been yearning for the past like 15, 20 years. So I think that this is it. This is his opportunity. He will get to retire, saying that he did main event a WrestleMania. And I'm happy for him. I think Roman Rollins and Punk will probably be one of the best matches on the WrestleMania card storyline wise. There's just so much
Yes.
to dig into there between any of these two people one on one. There's a great story there. Punk and Roman, Punk and Rollins, Rollins and Roman. Everything has a great story going on there.
The only
Yeah.
thing I have to say, though, with
Yep.
two things I have to say with that, is I think they have the same fatigue problem they had with last year's WrestleMania. They spent so much time on those two main events that every other match felt distant secondary.
Yeah.
They're spending so much energy building up the Punk Roman and Rollins match and the Cody and John Cena match that everything else feels way secondary. Like, not
Yeah.
close. Not even close. Even
My-
Tiffany Stratton
Yeah.
just feels secondary, like very secondary.
My whole thing with that is
And I can't blame anyone. I just think that's how the chips are
that's
falling.
always my thing. Like, the fans on the internet always seem to blame WWE for things like that. I kind of put a mixture of blame on the people involved, the wrestlers. Like, it's up to them to a point to make their stuff feel important. It's also up to WWE and the writers to make it feel important. It's also up to
I mean, they are
the
giving them
characters.
airtime. It's not like
Yeah.
they're not giving them airtime.
Anytime you have airtime in WWE, you got to maximize your minutes. And it's
Yeah.
not up to WWE to make the fans think your stuff is important. You have to do that. You have to get
Yes.
those fans behind you also. So you can't really knock Punk, Roman, and Rollins for having such a compelling story.
Oh, no,
going
I know. Yeah, yeah.
It's like, yes, it's unfortunate for some of the other matches where they kind of get put on a back burner, but it's like that should motivate people more than anything to try
Yep.
to bring your stuff to the next level. Because
And-
guess
and-
what?
yeah.
Like if I was, let's say I was Rhea Ripley right now, and I see Punk, Rollins, and Roman on the card, it's like, wait a second, I have a triple threat. When's the last time the women had a triple threat main event at WrestleMania?
Right.
That would motivate me to be like, I want to prove to them that this should be the main event. I'm gonna steal the show. Like,
Yeah.
if you guys remember CM Punk versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania 29, CM Punk was out there to steal the show because he was angry that The Rock and John Cena got the main event at WrestleMania 29.
Yeah.
Some might argue he did steal the show against The Undertaker. That was The Undertaker's last good WrestleMania match ever.
Yes, agreed.
Like, after that, it was pretty much like,
Downhill.
yeah,
Yeah.
like he was not putting in the. I don't think he was.
Bray
physically-
Wyatt,
he was-
Goldberg,
yeah,
I
I don't
mean,
think he was
none of
physically
those.
able to put in the effort that
Yeah.
he did for that match. That was the last good WrestleMania match we had out of The Undertaker, and coincidentally, that was the last time that the streak was extended. Also,
Yeah.
so the people that feel like they're getting put on the back burner because of a match like that, that should give them motivation to, let's say, Kaiser, Penta, Braun Breaker. That should give them motivation to try to steal the show. There's like,
Yeah.
or Jey Uso and Gunther. That should motivate them. Hey, we should be the main event. And you know what? I'm sure if the fans were interested enough, they could have been the main event. But the fans are more invested in the Punk, Roman, and Rollins thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So
like,
I have one more point on all that, though.
yeah,
It's Paul Heyman.
yeah,
And one thing that I think that WWE might be dropping the ball on, and they already did it once with Paul Heyman, right? And it's back when you had the Bloodline and you had Brock Lesnar back,
Mhm.
and it was all, well, whose side is Paul Heyman on, right?
yeah,
And they really didn't do much with it. They did a little bit with it, and then it fizzled right out, and then they moved on to other storylines with the Bloodline, right?
yeah,
I see that here. Paul Heyman, if you look back to the steel cage match from last week, right? He was visibly in the ring with CM Punk,
yeah,
tending to CM Punk. Roman Reigns didn't seem to get bothered by that directly. He was bothered by CM Punk,
Mhm.
right? Because he's claiming that CM Punk eliminated him from the Royal Rumble, which is true, but whatever.
yeah.
But he wasn't bothered by Paul Heyman's relationship with that. And I feel like there should be more to that story, and I don't know if WWE's going to do anything with that or
Yeah.
not explore it.
That
You know,
is something.
cost-
Yeah, that is something I think we might see at WrestleMania.
because you're at the point now, Roman Reigns does not need Paul Heyman anymore. I
Mm-hmm.
think early on in the Bloodline story, he did, because obviously people didn't want to see big dog Roman Reigns,
Yeah.
right? So Paul Heyman had to legitimize the repackaging of Roman Reigns, and that's
Mm.
successful. And clearly, CM Punk does not need Paul Heyman at all. So
Not as a babyface. Not as a babyface. Edward, thank you for stopping in and leaving a comment. Good evening, boys. Great broadcast. Appreciate your support. Yeah, I'm sure you know who that is.
yeah,
I'm just gonna say a first name there. I don't want to
yes,
dox
oh, I
anybody.
know.
Yeah, so I think Paul Heyman is going to play a big part in the story at WrestleMania, and I agree with you to a point that I think CM Punk might need Paul Heyman if we see a CM Punk heel turn. A babyface CM
Possible.
Punk, I don't think needs Paul Heyman. A heel turn for CM Punk, I think, would make sense with Paul Heyman being involved.
Maybe that's part of the favor.
But yes, that we'll see what happens there. I don't want to do, maybe next week or the following week we'll do official WrestleMania predictions, because the card is still stewing up. This is like a
Yes.
stew that's being made, so I don't want to make any bold predictions yet. But
Because I think we can all safely say, at least for now, with Roman Reigns, I don't think people want to see Roman Reigns be the John Cena, where Roman Reigns is the face of the company, has
No,
the belt,
I don't think it works
and is
that way
back to
anymore.
the old school,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
I
I
think
don't
he
think
needs
it
to be the
works.
one chasing something, or he needs to be the full-on heel persona.
Yeah.
And I'm going to guess he's not going to go heel anytime soon, because he spent 4 years doing that,
Yeah.
and they're going to take a break from that. So I guess he's going to be the baby face, but not true baby face.
Not the face of the
A
company.
tweener.
It's just,
Tweener baby face
Yeah.
a little bit, right? But he's
Yeah.
going to be chasing something.
He's going to be a little tweeny, I think.
and not involved in the title picture, I don't think, or at least not directly.
Yeah, and that's fine.
That's
fine.
I don't see him being involved in that for the rest of the year, in my opinion.
Maybe
Unless
they'll
it's
do
like a
maybe they'll do
multi-person
something
match.
with Cena. We'll
Yeah.
see what happens. I mean, I'm starting to like form a prediction at WrestleMania, but it's not quite there yet. That's why I said we'll wait until it's closer to WrestleMania before we do official predictions. But I got some ideas brewing of what might happen in this match in my head right now.
With Cody Rhodes and John Cena, or you mean the triple threat? Or both?
Everything.
Okay.
So yeah, that was what all happened on SmackDown. Before we get out of here, though, I do want to say next week we're going to be doing the podcast on a different day. We're going to be doing it Saturday night at 8:00. We got some other things going on. We're not going to be able to do a Sunday broadcast, but we will be doing a Saturday broadcast.
Saturday night main event.
Yeah, Saturday night at 8:00. I can almost assure you have nothing else going on at that time. There's nothing on. There's no wrestling on TV to watch or anything. Just come here, hang out with us. We'll talk about some wrestling. We'll collide on Saturday night and talk about some wrestling.
Oh yeah, we will collide.
Oh, I wish YouTube wasn't like so strict on things, or else we could do like an AEW Collision watch party and just roast the show the whole time. Wouldn't that be fun if we didn't have restrictions and we're able to do that? But the week of WrestleMania, we're gonna have some different content. I believe the plan is that we're gonna be doing like a Sunday stream, WrestleMania Sunday, but it's gonna be quite
During the
earlier.
day.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I think we're actually going to be gaming a little bit. We'll talk wrestling while we're gaming. Maybe we'll even
Yes.
try to recreate some of the WrestleMania matches in WWE 2K25.
Oh yeah.
we'll
You
do-
mean WCW versus NWO Revenge?
Hey, we could break that out too.
Okay.
We could break out the old school games and do some of the new stuff. But I think Sunday we're going to do like an afternoon stream, get people hyped. We'll talk about the previous days or previous nights WrestleMania. We'll hype up WrestleMania Sunday. We'll play the game. I haven't decided, like, WrestleMania says it's 2 nights. It's like, I don't know. I feel like either, see, I don't know if Mr. Chunk's available for this, but I'm starting to feel like we should do some sort of Monday stream. And if Mr. Chunk can't do it, maybe I need to do a solo stream and just kind of go over what happened at WrestleMania.
So I can do a Monday stream. I took off of work.
So did I. So that's so maybe we can make it work out. We'd have to do
I
it
have
before
off
Raw.
Monday. Monday and Tuesday I have off
Yeah.
after.
I actually
WrestleMania.
took off. So listen to this. This is how much of a WWE fan I am. I took off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday,
Jesus.
and no, I think I go back to work on Wednesday.
Okay.
So I actually took off just in case something happens during those days. I
Oh,
want to be able to
gosh.
just relax, not have to worry about waking up early. Like, I want to watch the Hall of Fame. I want to watch SmackDown. I want to watch NXT. I want to watch all the WrestleMania activities. So I'm thinking maybe we could do a Monday WrestleMania extravaganza, just recap before Raw. We might not be able to do like an hour and a half or 2 hour stream. It'll just be specifically talking about what happened at WrestleMania, and we'll try to make it fun or something. I was going to say if Mr. Chunk wasn't available, maybe I just do it by myself and just kind of do a run through.
I should be around
But-
for that Monday.
Yeah, like maybe we'll discuss it and figure out what time would be a good time to do it. I know Sunday we're going to do a stream in person doing co-op video games and just talking about things. I actually bought equipment so we could do that. We're going to have 2 cameras, 2 mics. We're going to have some fun doing all of that. And maybe
I
we'll
feel like
actually
there has to be something at stake for who loses.
yeah, we'll do something. We're going to eat something fun or not, well, maybe not something fun, maybe fun sized, but
I don't know. Blindfolded Oreos and various liquids.
you know what? I do have something that I do have one of those hottest chip challenges. But
I've done that.
my issue is people say that people have gotten seriously like had to go to the hospital from
Are you
doing
talking
this.
about where you need a glove? to
Yes,
actually
it
pick up
has
the
a
chip?
glove in the package. Like you don't want to touch it with your bare hands. This is like the hottest of chips.
Oh, God.
It's a single chip too. The single's like $25. A single chip. And apparently this is extremely hot.
Oh boy.
We'll have to decide if we want to do that. Like we're gonna have to talk to our medical professionals, aka
Yes.
our significant others, about this one.
How's your bathroom set up? Just
Oh
in case.
God, no! All right, maybe we won't. You know what? Maybe I'll have to order some of the old school like 1989 WWF trading cards that come with the bubble gum. Maybe we'll have to eat some 40-year-old
boy.
bubble gum or something.
I still have the box of Bootios. Don't make me bring that down.
Oh God! All right,
You're like
guys.
5 years old at this point.
Yeah, next week we're going to be streaming on Saturday. Until then, hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. Edward, thank you for sending us that message over on YouTube.